2 weeks before I caught my husband cheating, I found a receipt for a bracelet I never got. 2 days later, I found hotel charges on a card I didn't even know existed. But the moment that made me realize my whole marriage was a scam, that was the night his phone lit up at 2:17 a.m., labeled Uber Eats, but the message said, "She's asleep, I'll be there soon." I didn't know it yet, but he wasn't just cheating. He was planning to erase me. They say you never really know who you're sleeping next to until you try to leave them. I used to roll my eyes at that. Now, I could tattoo it on my forehead. When I read that text, my hands wouldn't stop shaking. My brain kept trying to explain it away because that's what your mind does when it realizes your life might be a light negotiates. Maybe it's a joke. Maybe it's actually Uber Eats. I mean, I'm overreacting. But denial only works until evidence starts stacking up like a crime scene. And my husband Mark, oh, he was sloppy. Rewind 80 months back when everybody envied us. Mark was the golden boy type, charming, charismatic, Mr. I'll handle it, with the perfect sounding job and a laugh that made my friends blush a little too long. I wasn't blind. I just thought married life turned down the volume on jealousy. We were building a new house, the kind with an actual wine fridge, a 2-story foyer, and heated bathroom floors, Instagram level perfect. My mom used to say, "Sarah, you did good with this one," and I believed her. We had date nights that looked like movie scenes, steak dinners, jazz music, his hand on the small of my back. He made life feel expansive and secure, like the world couldn't touch us. That enter Jessica Dakizek, the harmless friend who resurfaced out of nowhere, the one he swore was just catching up after a bad breakup at first. It really did seem harmless. She'd comment on his posts, send memes, and laugh a little too loud at his jokes. I clocked it, but I didn't sound the alarms. I didn't want to be that wife. And that right there is how women get blindsided. We're trained to be understanding, cool, unbothered. Meanwhile, men like Mark are out here running emotional side quests like it's nothing. The first real crack in the facade came from his phone. Mark used to leave his phone everywhere. On the bathroom counter, on the couch, face up, face down. It didn't matter. Then suddenly his phone had a new address. His pocket, his hand, the locked glove box of his car. He started using Do Not Disturb at night, silent notifications. Every other week. When I joked about it, he laughed like I was cute for paying attention. "You're paranoid," he said. Duh. Funny how the word paranoid is almost always a confession delivered in reverse. Mark had always been dedicated to work, but now work became a ghost I could never track. Late nights, networking dinners, urgent deadlines that never existed before Jessica came back into frame. One night, around midnight, he came home smelling like cologne I didn't recognize. I asked how late the meeting ran. Without blinking, he said, 10. The timestamp on our Ring camera showed 11:47 p.m. The math wasn't mathing. Real talk, if you've ever had that gut feeling that something was off, but you couldn't prove it yet. Drop a "trust your gut" in the comments if you have, because mine was screaming. When I first mentioned Jessica, it wasn't an attack. It was casual, almost sweet. "So how's Jessica doing? You mention her a lot lately." He froze for 2 seconds, barely noticeable, but micropauses are where the truth leaks. Then he smiled. "You're being weird. She's going through a rough patch. I'm helping. Help it." That word aged like milk. He leaned on the "I'm a good person" card hard because cheating men love to disguise infidelity as charity work. But the real switch flipped when I asked about the mileage on the car. It snapped hard. "Jesus, Sarah, do you want to install a tracking device too? Is that what we're doing now?" When someone responds to a mild question like it's a federal indictment, they're hiding something. Then came the credit card bill. Dinner for 2, at a restaurant I had never been to, on a card I didn't even know we had. When I asked about it, he gave me the kind of answer that insults your intelligence. "Work thing. You wouldn't know them." Most husbands don't run secret dining accounts for work things, at least not the honest ones. But nothing rivaled that 2:17 a.m. notification. Uber Eats doesn't text you, "She's asleep, I'll be there soon." And Uber Eats definitely doesn't have blonde ex-girlfriends named Jessica. I stared at the message like it was radioactive, like touching it would set everything on fire. And maybe it did, because in that moment I learned a universal truth. Cheaters don't destroy marriages when they cheat. They destroy them in all the lies they tell while you're trying to save it. But here's where it gets insane. Finding out my husband was cheating wasn't the shocking part. The shocking part was what I discovered when I started investigating him. Because Mark wasn't just having an affair, he was planning something way worse. You'd think catching at 2 a.m. she's asleep text would be enough to blow things up instantly, right? Plot twist. Catching a cheater is the easy part. It's surviving the gaslighting afterward that feels like psychological warfare. Because once someone decides they'd rather protect their lie than their partner, they'll burn your sanity to the ground before they ever tell the truth. And Mark, he was a damn arsonist. The next morning felt weirdly quiet. Like that part in a horror movie where the music cuts and you realize you're not paranoid, you're surrounded. Mark was still asleep, breathing like a newborn baby instead of a grown man sneaking around after midnight. I stared at him the same way I stared at the text, like I was waiting for the evidence to confess out loud. You know when something is broken and your brain starts scanning for every detail you previously ignored? That was me. Everything felt suspicious now. His showers got longer. His phone never left his hand. He smiled at something on the screen and then immediately locked it when I walked in. My gut wasn't whispering anymore, it was screaming. I didn't go in guns blazing. That's not how you catch a liar. Soft confrontations are where they slip. Over dinner, salmon, roasted potatoes, nothing fancy, I asked. Who were you texting so late last night? He didn't blink, didn't flinch, didn't even breathe harder. That was Uber Eats. I swear cheaters should get a tax deduction for how confidently they lie. It's practically a performance art. I tilted my head. Uber Eats? Since she's asleep. Since when? He smirked, and I'll never forget that smirk, and said, I deleted the wrong thread. If you're gonna act psycho, at least get your facts right. Psycho, there it was. The first brick thrown at my sanity. Gaslighting has a pattern, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Step 1. Minimize. You're making it a big deal. Step 2. Flip blame. You're insecure. Step 3. Recast themselves as the victim. I can't even text without being attacked. Step 4. Recruit an audience. Mark hit every step like he was reading straight from the cheater's handbook. 2 days later I got hit with step 4. His sister, who never texts me about anything, sends me a paragraph about trust and marriage and letting men have friendships. 3 of his friends suddenly start inviting him out more. His mom calls to ask if I'm okay in the most condescending tone imaginable. One even said, Jessica's going through stuff, you should be nicer about it. Nicer about the woman trying to sleep with my husband. That's when it clicked. Mark wasn't just cheating. He was building a narrative. Bad husbands cheat. Smart husbands build alibis. The real explosion came the night I asked about mileage on the car again. I didn't accuse. I didn't scream. Just calmly said, your office is 12 miles away. The trip meter says 47. Where'd you go? He slammed his fork on the plate so hard the tines bent. Oh my God, Sarah. I am working my ass off so you can stay home in that. How's you wanna interrogate me like I'm cheating? You sound insane. Insane. That was the second brick. And here's the wild part. I started doubting myself. That's what gaslighting does. It makes you question the evidence in your own hand. Maybe it really was work. Maybe I really am overthinking. Maybe I am crazy. But then came the credit card bill. Dinner for 2 on a weekday at a place that costs more than our grocery budget. Not a work thing. Not a group dinner. Not a takeout receipt. And there was that bracelet charge again. The one I never got. Emotional cheating hurts. Physical cheating destroys trust. But financial cheating leaves evidence, and evidence is how revenge stories are born. I didn't confront him this time. I filed it away, because I realized something huge. As long as I kept asking questions, he kept controlling the story. But if I shut up and listened, I controlled the narrative. Something inside me snapped the night he frogged about laundry. Not cheating, not the texts, not lying. It was when he looked me dead in the eyes and said, Jessica actually understands me. He didn't mean to say it. You could see the regret the second it escaped his mouth. But the damage was done. And that's when panic turned into strategy. The game shifted. I stopped asking questions, stopped checking his phone when he showered, stopped tracking his lies out loud. Instead, I observed. Observing is what makes people nervous. Suddenly he was the one scanning, explaining, pre-defending things I didn't even ask about. Guilt makes people talkative. Fear makes them sloppy. 2 nights later, he announced he was working late. I kissed him on the cheek and said, "Okay, don't be too late." He froze like it was a trap, like the lack of fights scared him more than suspicion ever could. And that's when I knew I had him, because cheaters expect confrontation. They don't expect compliance. Compliance is when they lose control. And here's where the story flips. Once I stopped chasing the truth. The truth started chasing me, because what I found next wasn't just proof he was cheating, it was proof he was planning to leave me and take everything with him. There's a moment in every betrayal story where the person being cheated on becomes the one in control. It doesn't happen with screaming. It happens in silence. And then I kissed Mark goodbye for his late work shift. I realized I'd stopped being his wife and started being his hunter. He just didn't know it yet. The first rule of catching a liar is simple. Stop trying to convince them to tell the truth. Liars don't confess. They escalate. So I escalated too, just not in the direction he expected. I checked the cloud backups. Most people don't realize their photos sync automatically. Mark didn't either, which is hilarious when you think about it, because while he was deleting pictures off his phone, they were still uploading into our shared family cloud at 3 a.m. like little digital confessions. Hotels, dinners, mirror selfies, one picture of his hand pouring champagne captioned by Jessica. Finally, what? Finally, cheating. Finally, replacing me. Or finally getting whatever twisted prize they thought was waiting at the finish line. Either way, I screenshotted everything and dropped it into a folder labeled water damage insurance. You'd be amazed how many cheaters forget digital. Evidence is forever. Screenshots are bulletproof when emotions aren't. But photos weren't the real shock. The real shock was the text thread buried in the cloud, dated 3 months back, long before I ever found that 2 a.m. message. Mark wasn't just cheating, he was strategizing. He and Jessica were planning out his exit like a corporate merger. After the promotion, I can finally leave. Don't want to split the house with her. She won't fight alimony, she's too soft. Let her think everything is normal until then. And Jessica, she sent the one line that turned my stomach into concrete. She's a placeholder. Don't screw this up. A placeholder? That's what I'd been reduced to. A filler. A warm body, keeping his life stable until he could upgrade. Every woman watching this knows exactly how that sentence feels. It hits differently. It hits deep. Once I knew he was planning to leave me broke and blindsided, everything changed. Affair stories are one thing. Financial betrayal is a whole different battlefield. He'd opened credit cards, transferred money, hidden transactions, adjusted beneficiaries on accounts. All subtle moves, tiny shifts, designed to strip me down before he walked. My lawyer would later call it financial infidelity. I called it war. I thought about confronting him. God, I wanted to. But vengeance is timing, so I hired a PI. Private investigators aren't like in the movies. No trench coats, no binoculars. Just data, timing, and brutal efficiency. Within 2 weeks, the PI had photos of Mark and Jessica at a boutique hotel, the same one from the champagne photo, leaving together in the morning like a couple who'd been doing it for years. That was when I realized this wasn't a fling. It was a replacement. And replacements have malines. The PI found something else too. They were meeting again that Thursday, room already booked. Same suite, same check-in, under Jessica's name. Mark told me he had a regional strategy meeting, which is adorable because that's exactly what I was planning, just not the kind he meant. Cheaters crave secrecy. Revenge requires an audience. So I didn't go to the hotel. I went to lunch with a friend, posted it on Instagram, smiling, wine glass in hand, looking unbothered, because nothing terrifies a guilty person more than the person they hurt acting calm. The plan was simple. Catch him red-handed at peak arrogance. At 8:46 p.m. I got the PI's text. Entering suite. At 10:02 p.m. I got the photo. Mark in a hotel robe, holding champagne. Jessica kissed his cheek like she won a prize. The urge to storm the hotel was nuclear. But remember, I wasn't aiming to catch a cheater. I was aiming to bury a man who thought I'd go quietly. So instead of confronting him in person, I sent him a message, the same photo the PI had just sent me, while he was still in the suite, still wearing the robe, still lying to me about regional strategy updates. No words, just the image, and then I turned my phone off. But here's the twist. He didn't come home that night. Not the next morning. Not even the next day. Instead, he doubled down. He packed a suitcase, moved in with Jessica, and started telling everyone we were separating. He thought he had won. He had no idea that every lie, every receipt, every hotel photo, every deleted text, cloud sync, and every financial transfer had already been handed to my divorce lawyer by the time he walked out the door smiling. His assets were already frozen. And the best part, he froze them himself the moment he checked into that hotel on Jessica's card. Catching a cheater is satisfying. But destroying a cheater who tried to destroy you, that's art. Here's the funny thing about infidelity. Nobody tells you, once the heartbreak fades, the paperwork begins. And paperwork doesn't care about who got butterflies, it cares about who bought champagne at a hotel using marital funds. But Mark thought leaving meant he won. But leaving early meant he surrendered the battlefield before knowing what war he was in. The divorce lawyer I hired, Linda, was in war. She didn't ask if I was okay. She didn't pat my hand or sympathize. She asked for evidence. When I told her about the cloud backups, screenshots, hotel receipts, and financial transfers, she didn't smile. She bared her teeth. Cheaters think physical infidelity is the crime, she said, flipping through hotel invoices. In marriage law, spending marital funds on an affair is financial misconduct. We can claw all of this back, plus leverage. Leverage, the most beautiful word in revenge vocabulary. The timing couldn't have been more poetic. Mark checked into a boutique hotel with Jessica, paid for champagne and room service, all on the joint card, and then decided to leave me for someone who thought I was a placeholder. Meanwhile, Linda filed an emergency freeze order on all assets. Bank accounts, retirement accounts, life insurance beneficiaries, even the promotion bonus he was banking on for his grand escape. When Mark went to pay for Jessica's "We Deserve This" handbag the next day, his card declined. Declined on a mistress is the modern scarlet letter. He texted me, "WTF? Did you freeze our money?" I didn't answer. Lawyers did. Cheaters never tell the truth. They tell the version that makes them the victim. Within 48 hours, Mark had rewritten the narrative for his inner circle. We mutually decided to separate. Sarah has emotional issues. It's been bad for a long time. Jessica is a supportive friend I reconnected with. Supportive friend. Interesting choice of words for someone who was kissing him in a hotel robe while my name was still on the mortgage. But don't worry, truth has a way of showing up late but loud. The first crack in their fantasy came fast. When Mark moved in with Jessica, he brought 2 suitcases and 0 liquidity. Mistresses love forbidden romance, but they rarely sign up for NSF fees and frozen credit lines. Within a week, Jessica started asking questions like, "When is the divorce final? Can you still get your bonus? Do you have savings?" Spoiler, not anymore, because Linda was clawing back every dollar he'd spent on the affair for the last year. Champagne, marital funds, hotel marital funds, gas marital funds, bracelet, definitely marital funds. Financial adultery is expensive, not morally but legally. Mediation isn't about feelings, it's where cheaters learn math. Mark swaggered in, wearing designer cologne and a watch I now knew he bought to impress Jessica. He looked like a man who thought the universe rewarded charm. Jessica came to big sunglasses. Bored expression, the "I'm above drama" look people wear when they haven't realized they are the drama. Linda didn't blink. She slid a stack of documents across the table: hotel receipts, PI photos, screenshots, credit card statements. "Your client used marital assets to conduct an affair," she said. "We're seeking restitution, full equity of the house, and compensation." The room got so quiet you could hear Jessica's confidence crack. Cheaters think cheating is a scandal. It's the documentation that ruins them. For the first time since this started, Mark panicked. He tried charm. He tried to deny it. Then he tried rage, the final stage of a losing man. "You're humiliating me," he snapped. Linda didn't look up. "You've humiliated yourself. We're just itemizing it." I swear I could have kissed her. When he realized charm and rage weren't working, he tried pity. "I thought we were friends," he whispered to me, as if friendship included hotel suites and cloud-synced selfies. It was almost sad. Almost. Bad news spreads quietly. Cheating news spreads like wildfire. Mutual friends started asking questions. His sister stopped texting me lectures about trust and started apologizing. And the best twist, Jessica found out Mark had been texting yet another friend. Cheaters don't cheat once, they cheat chronically. The mistress realizing she's not special. That's Karma's favorite scene. Jessica didn't leave immediately. Mistresses rarely do, not until the math becomes unsexy. No house, no bonus, no frozen accounts thawing anytime soon, no win in mediation, no reputation left. The man she stole turned out to be a liability with receipts attached. And suddenly, the affair lost its sparkle. By the time mediation wrapped, Linda leaned over and said, "He's cornered. One more push and he'll fold." I didn't need to push him emotionally. Reality was doing that better than I ever could. And the best part, he still thought the worst thing that could happen was losing me. He had no idea he was about to lose everything else too, because Section 5 isn't about catching the cheater, or exposing the affair, or even winning the divorce. Section 5 is about consequences, financial, social, emotional, reputational, and the twist ending. Oh, it's coming, the one where Jessica learns she bet on the wrong man, and Mark learns the world doesn't reward men who gamble diamonds for gravel. People always say cheaters get what's coming. What they don't mention is how slow and humiliating karma can be when it finally arrives. Mark didn't lose me the night he checked into that hotel. He lost everything that made him feel like a winner. And the best part, I didn't have to raise my voice once. The court isn't emotional, it's arithmetic. The judge didn't care about Jessica's smoky eyeliner or Mark's Desino cologne. He cared about receipts, accounts, and marital funds spent on non-marital purposes. That phrase alone added numbers to my column like a slot machine paying out in slow motion. Champagne, non-marital funds. Hotels, non-marital funds, jewelry, non-marital funds, even gas receipts turned into restitution when the PI testified about mileage to and from meetings that definitely weren't work-related. Jessica sat in the back row, sunglasses on, hands clasped, watching the fantasy she bet her future on get out it to death. The house was always the centerpiece of Mark's ego. Vaulted ceilings, a 2-story window, and a kitchen island big enough to host Thanksgiving. In court, the judge ordered either a buyout or a sale. Mark tried to buy me out. He genuinely believed he could, but frozen accounts plus legal restitution, alimony math equals spoiler. He couldn't. So the house defaulted to me. Jessica's face when the judge awarded it was pure cinematic defeat. Like someone watching the prize they stole turn back into the possession of the woman they underestimated. After court, Jessica did what mistresses do when the fantasy ends. She got practical. How long until you're back on your feet? Are you sure you can appeal? Do you still get the bonus? Can she really keep the house? Mark didn't have the stability to answer any of those questions because the truth was, he had no house, no liquidity, no bonus, no leverage, no win. Jessica didn't break up with him that day. She broke up with the idea of him. The text breakup came 2 weeks later. Cold, efficient, ruthless, just 2 sentences. "This isn't healthy for me anymore. I need security." Security, the one thing he gambled away cheap best. Affairs don't stay secret forever. They leak socially slow at first, then all at once. Friends he bragged to stopped replying. The family he weaponized against me started asking if I needed anything. His mother mailed me a handwritten apology. The kind that aches because you can tell she knows her son ruined his own life. But the real humiliation, work found out. HR departments don't care about affairs, they care about liability and distraction. Mark's promotion was quietly reassigned to someone who didn't check into boutique hotels during strategy meetings. He didn't get fired, he got sidelined, which is somehow worse. Here's the twist most viewers never expect. I never confronted Jessica. I never yelled at Mark. I never tried to win socially or emotionally. I just documented. Documentation is the modern form of revenge. It's cleaner than rage and far more expensive. When the dust settled, Linda said something I'll never forget. The most powerful thing you did wasn't leaving. It was letting him destroy himself under his own strategy. Because that's the irony. The same plan Mark used to replace me became the plan that buried him. He delayed the breakup to secure the promotion. The delay gave me time to collect evidence. The evidence froze his assets. The frozen assets sabotaged the relationship. The breakup tanked his social image. The scandal torpedoed his career trajectory. It was karmic engineering. If this were a movie, this scene would be the final montage. 6 months after the divorce finalized, I stood in the kitchen of the house Mark built, barefoot, coffee in hand, sunlight coming through those same 2-story windows he used to brag about. P has a sound. It's quiet, it's clean, it doesn't shake. Meanwhile, Mark lived in a 1-bedroom rental near the highway, no vaulted ceilings, no kitchen island, no bonus checks, no Jessica Dot, just the echo of choices. When people ask what happened, I tell them the truth. He gambled a diamond for gravel and ended up with empty hands. But the real moral isn't about cheating. It's about replacement. Because the woman he underestimated, minimized, gaslit, and tried to quietly discard wasn't fragile. She was patient, and patience is lethal when paired with evidence. If you're watching this and you've ever had a gut feeling someone was betraying you, don't confront, don't beg, don't accuse. Observe, document, prepare. Revenge isn't screaming. Revenge is winning. If you're watching this story, tighten your blanket and hit the like button so YouTube understands you want the next chapter unlocked. And tell me in the comments, which beautiful country are you watching from, and what's the exact time there right now?